Hello, everyone, and welcome to BodyBags. I'll be your reviewer for today. I'm Lonnie and Tara from and Lonnie from Tara and Tats. God, I really need to get some posters up there. Like cover that up. It looks kind of funny. Anyway, I think this week we're doing a label week, and the label that we're going with is Full Moon, Full Moon Pictures. And I wanted to do something a little bit different in that, sure, I mean, it's easy to, sit here and talk about like a lot of the movies that Full Moon has made. They were a production company. I think they still are, but, they're a production company. They made their own films. They made a number of franchises. Most popular is the Puppet Master series, but, they've also done like Subspecies, Vampire Journals, stuff like that. They're doing stuff now like Ginger Dead Man and the Evil Bong series and things like this. But the thing I wanted to talk about was I'm going to review a movie from 1976, written and directed by Jess Franco, starring Klaus Kinski, Josephine Chaplin, Herbert. I swear to God, this is the guy's name. I'm not, Herbert Fax? Fox? Yeah, it's Fax, I think. Anyway, so the movie is Jack the Ripper. And this is not a Full Moon production, obviously. This is a movie that was made in Germany, or it was a German production anyway. And, written and directed by Jess Franco. And the movie was licensed by Full Moon, and, they distributed it. So what I want to do is I want to talk about a little something different. I'm going to review the movie, but then I want to talk a little bit about the way that Full Moon has made a business of importing films, horror films, softcore films, and everything else, and the way they handle and distribute these films. So the movie, it's okay. I mean, I think this was 1976. I think this was around the time when Jess Franco was kind of transitioning, I guess you could say, from excuse me. He was transitioning from doing mainstream films, going into his softcore films, which he would definitely become known for. But the film, it's pretty basic plot. It could be fleshed out a little bit better, but you have it's kind of a blend of the Jack the Ripper story, but also with a little bit of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. You have Klaus Kinski. During the day, he's a doctor. He's working. Basically, he's a doctor who's taking care of a lot of poor people. So he's not a particularly. It's weird how he's got money and he's kind of a rich doctor, but yet most of his patients are usually like poor people and street urchins, things like that. So he's taking care of these people and working with them. But at night, he goes out and he's Jack the Ripper. He's looking for prostitutes. He kills them, and probably the most notorious thing about them is he cuts their breasts off. Now the movie is pretty gory. It's not the most convincing looking gore effects in the world, but it is gory. It is disturbing in a couple of scenes, I will say that. But so anyway, so as he's going along doing his killing, one thing I can never understand about these movies with Klaus Kinski is like movies like this and Schizoid. How is that? I mean, look at this guy. He's creepy and weird and all that kind of stuff. And of course, it's Klaus Kinski, so he's gonna definitely do his his really like off-putting, really disturbing, looking performances and everything else. And yet in these movies, it seems like women are always flocking to him. It's like, I mean, if you go watch the movie Schizoid, it's like he looks and acts weird, but the guy's like a babe magnet. It's weird. So anyway, but it's almost kind of the same thing in here. He's killing these prostitutes, and he has this woman who's helping him dispose of the bodies and cleaning up after him and all this. And he lives in like a boarding house, and the woman who runs the boarding house, she's nuts about him. She wants to, take care of him and all this other kind of stuff. So it's just kind of weird how it's like, he always, how this weird, creepy looking guy, you'd think women would like avoid him at all costs, and yet it's like women are always flocking to him. But so anyway, he's of course he's killing these prostitutes, and so the movie's definitely not historically accurate. If you've seen any you read any books or seen any kind of documentaries about Jack the Ripper, the movie's definitely not following that storyline. Not something like From Hell. Even though From Hell, with Johnny Depp and Heather Graham, that's kind of a fictionalized version of Jack the Ripper. But I mean, that still follows the story, the real life events a lot. I'm sorry, my nose is itching. That movie follows real life events a whole lot closer than this movie does. So, and of course, you have the detective who is trying to, find him, and from Scotland Yard is trying to find him, put him away. They do, I don't remember if they ever say the detective's name or the inspector's name. I think they just call him Inspector most of the time, but they never say if it's supposed to be, Inspector Aberline, the detective, the real life detective who was searching for Jack the Ripper. Um, so you got the inspector. He's trying to find him, and at the same time, he's in love with this dancer, Cynthia, played by Josephine. Yeah, Josephine Chaplin, who is the daughter of Charlie Chaplin. Um, so he's in love with her, but it's just kind of like they're having a hard time making their relationship work because his work as a detective, she's a dancer, so it's kind of hard for them to be together, spend time together, things like this. So anyway, but he's still trying to do his job at trying to see if they can fix their relationship. So so now you got he's going along, he's killing these prostitutes, he cuts them up, disposes them in the river, things like this. Watching the movie, I was kind of wondering, were they ever going to explain any kind of reasoning behind why he was doing this? When I first started watching the movie, I thought it was going to be because of the fact that he's got this woman who's helping him in what he's doing, and the fact that his character is a doctor. So I thought maybe Franco was going to kind of go with the storyline of, well, okay, he's like looking like he's doing medical research, or he's looking for some kind of a cure or something like that, or he's trying to, you know, he's trying to what's the word I'm looking for? Perfect some new kind of like medical procedure or something, something like this. So you're thinking like, this is why he's doing it. It's like he's doing it for his experiment. You kind of following that storyline. Never goes that way. Um, Eventually, you come to find out that really the reason why he's doing this is because he has a hatred of prostitutes. Not some. Possibly you could say, yeah, women as a whole. He doesn't like women, but particularly prostitutes, and it's kind of explained that his mother was a prostitute, and that like he was like kind of like emotionally damaged watching his mother do stuff with men, and seeing her being a prostitute and sleeping with these men, but then turn around being a mother to him and everything, and like it scarred him, and it's like on the and he ends up developing this love hate relationship with both his, not just his mother, but with women in general. The idea of that he thinks women are false, and women are just liars and all this kind of stuff, and it's how can you love me and you're going around giving your body to all these men and all this other kind of stuff. So he's definitely psychologically messed up. The movie is definitely plotting at times. Um, so like the detective is trying to catch him, but then Cynthia, Josephine Chaplin's character, at one point she decides she wants to help him. She's tired of all the murders and stuff like that. She's everybody's tired of being scared, and they're doing everything they can to try to they in the movie, like they say, we have this new technique we're gonna do. It's called like sketch drawing. So if you guys could if if you've seen the what the killer looks like, if you can explain what he looks like to us, we're gonna draw what he looks like, and then maybe we can use that picture to help us identify him. So they're doing things like this, but Cynthia decides she wants to go ahead and you know she decides she's going to kind of do a little bit of her own investigation to try to lure him out. At one point, she does run into Klaus Kinski's character, and he seems to be immediately taken with her. And she decides she's going to try to lure him out, see if she can help catch him and put an end to this whole thing. And And her plan does work. Klaus Kinski, it turns out he's obsessed with her, not really sure why, it's never really explained. Doesn't really say if, like, I guess in a way she bears some kind of resemblance to his mother or something. So, but he does go after her, and so then it's up to the investigators to try. It's a race against time kind of a thing, like they got to try to find Cynthia before, Jack the Ripper can get to her and, you know, um, put a stop to it and save Cynthia's life, So the movie, it's gross in some parts, even though the special effects are really not the most convincing I've ever seen. But it is gory, it is gross. Number of shots, you have like women with their breasts cut off and things. Um, it is plotting at times. There are times you're kind of like really itching to kind of hit that fast forward button. That was kind of a thing with. I hate to say, I know there are a lot of Jess Franco uh, devotees out there who are gonna probably hate me for saying this, but you know, kind of hate to say, but in some of his like mainstream films, his movies kind of tend to be a little bit boring. They kind of tend to go on a little longer than they should, and you're kind of like, this really could have been edited down for, or it feels like his movies were, like his movies, they really kind of, like, man, you're just kind of padding this to a 90-minute running time, that kind of thing. But it is disturbing. I would say probably there is rape in this movie, so of course that's always disturbing. Um, I would say probably the most disturbing scene in the movie involves, Franco's, his real life partner, his muse. Everybody always called Lina Romay his muse, and and they did a number of movies together. They were pretty much married and everything. So she appears in the movie. She's like this kind of dance girl. She's on stage. She's dancing and showing her butt, which I mean, hey, Lina Romay had a nice butt. I'm not going to argue that, but and so he decides, he's seeing her perform on stage, and so he's like, he gives the money, tell her to meet me, and everything. So she gets into a carriage with him. He takes her out into the woods, and he starts getting weird, and she tries to get away, and it's definitely very horror movie-ish scene. And so, at one point she thinks, she's running through the forest. She thinks she's gotten away. Then he comes up and he rips her clothes off, and he's like stabbing her in the stomach. And while she's kind of while she's dying, he decides he's going to rape her and stuff like that. And it's a very unsettling scene to watch. It's not fun at all. And then he takes her back to his place and everything. And then he cuts her breasts off and things. He cuts her up and everything else. And the woman that's helping him is watching him do all this and stuff. But overall, yeah, I mean, it's an unsettling film. Very plottish in some parts. I mean, I would say it's kind of 50-50. It's okay, but yeah, it's a bit slow in some areas. But you know, and like I said, it is kind of nice. That was the one thing I was kind of worried about, was like they were never going to explain like why he was doing these things, but they do eventually explain it. So yeah, overall, I would say it's an okay watch. But yeah, just don't expect excellent pacing in this movie. Okay, so now I want to talk about the whole thing about Full Moon importing films. That is definitely hit or miss. I know that one thing that I'm not really happy about when it comes to Full Moon is that the way they would tinker with a lot of their films when they would get them. They would get these films, not just the movies that they imported, but some of their own films as well. And like why they would sit here and get too editing happy with some of their films. As a matter of fact, okay, just several weeks ago, what ended up happening, Full Moon, they had licensed some of these Brigitte Leahy softcore films, and I was going to try to get some of these for my Brigitte Leahy collection. Now, one of the ones I think it was called either like Gas Pump Girls or High Test Girls or something like that. That was the title that Full Moon distributed on, and they put it out on DVD. And I was getting ready to, order this. And also, they had two other Brigitte Leahy films: The Amorous Sisters and was it Swedish Boarding School Girls? And the one thing that I found out when I was getting ready to order these, like looking up the reviews and everything else, one thing they kept saying was, do not get these. They're edited down, they cut stuff out, all this kind of stuff. And I started reading up. They were saying, yeah, Full Moon has this habit of, taking these movies that they import and stuff like this, and then they cut them down and distribute them. So so I ended up, I was like, well, I'm not going to get these. And people are like, just, import the German Blu-rays. They're a lot better. So that's what I wound up doing. So they ended up doing that. As far as I know, this one says here is pretty much it's like uncut and uncensored. So hopefully this is, fully restored. No problems with that. But, like I said, they've done it on some of their own movies too. We remember like years back, remember when they first put Tourist Trap out on Blu-ray? And everybody was psyched for that. Everybody wanted, I did, everybody went and bought it. But then immediately it came out. There's like, wait a minute, do not buy the Blu-ray for Tourist Trap because they cut 5 minutes out of the movie. 5 minutes are missing, so you're buying an edited down version of the movie. Now I think it was just here a couple of years ago that they finally re-released it in its full uncut form. So that's one thing I'm not really. I mean, on the one hand, I appreciate that they're getting their hands on these movies that are very hard to get your hands on. It costs a lot of money. It costs a lot to import them. It takes a lot of time. Importing DVDs and Blu-rays can really be a pain. So on the one hand, you're happy that Full Moon is taking these movies and putting them out so that we can enjoy them here in America and stuff like this. But at the same time, you're kind of like, is it worth it? It's like, and these DVDs that they put out, they're not cheap. I mean, these usually run about, anywhere between $25-$30. So, so it's just kind of like, to try to, to sit there and spend that kind of money, and you're worried, like, am I going to get something that's just going to be chopped down, and I'm going to have to turn around and import, another version of it just so I can get the full movie. So it's like, so Full Moon has definitely been hit or miss, and this is a nice edition of the movie, though. It's a beautiful DVD. The transfer is really nice. It looks really good. You got some bonus features here on the back. I don't know if you can see all that. So it's nice that they include bonus features. Introduction by Delirium Magazine editor Chris Alexander. Rare deleted scene. Ripping yarn, restoring Jack the Ripper. Franco, Bloody Franco, audio interview with Jess Franco, French with English subtitles, original theatrical German trailer. So I mean, it's nice that they, really put the work into this, but that's just the only caveat. It's like, oh man, are you gonna end up? So you're sitting here worrying about, am I gonna end up getting, a watered down or a chopped down version of the movie? Nobody wants that, and paying a lot of money to do so. So some of these do kind of feel like cash grabs, but. Overall, like I said, to me, Full Moon is definitely a company that's 50-50. I kind of have like a love-hate relationship with them. I love that they're, importing these films and getting hold of these films so that audiences can see them. I just don't like the idea that they're tinkering with these films and editing them down, and then when you're spending a lot of money to buy these, is it worth it? So anyway, I think that's good. I think I've rambled on way long enough. So if anybody took the time to watch this, I thank you for doing it, and I appreciate you for doing it. I honestly hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please leave it a like. If you haven't already, go and subscribe to the BodyBags channel. We have a different reviewer, one for every day of the week. I'm the Saturday reviewer. We have a great bunch of guys. Everybody's doing really good stuff, fun videos to watch, entertaining. So yeah, everybody's definitely got a different flavor and everything. So yeah, please check us out. And that's it, everybody. So take care, have a good night, and I'll see you later.